Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Comics for All. Today is Saturday, January 24th, 2026. This is our weekly Ink and Insight segment. We actually get to do one on a Saturday, which is really exciting. So we
Yes,
have
sir.
Nathan, also known as Mr. Unchained Unlimited, sole proprietor of the Idolverse, here today to talk to us all things comics. So, Nathan, thank you so much for joining us today and joining the channel. So,
Thank you.
we're a reader centric channel, so we talk about a lot about
Okay,
reading comics.
of
The
course.
first question we like to ask everyone is, what got you hooked into comics as a reader?
Man, the ability, the amazing superpower that writers have and artists have to create something like unimaginable.
Hmm.
Uh to like TV shows and movies are amazing, but to take the tiny imperfections and between writing and artistry to create a world that like completely comes from your mind, to me, it's something I haven't been able to find anywhere else. That's what brings me into it.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. It's a way of interpreting stories or even in just information in the most unique way, and it really impacts people.
For sure.
So another reader centric question that I have to kind of start us off is, what's something you've read? It can be major publishers or indie, that's really stuck with you and that you've read the last year. It didn't have to come out in the last year, but something
Mm.
you've read in the last year.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me this because I've been wanting to talk to somebody about it for a very long time.
Well, good.
It's Astro City by Kurt Busiek.
Ooh,
The Eagle and the Mountain. It actually showed me my favorite supervillain of all time, the Infidel versus the Samaritan. I don't know why Astro City isn't like more famous than, what people know it to be. Like, that universe is insane. The love letter that it is to, superheroism is something that I haven't seen in a long time. And not to dog Superman or Batman or anything like that, or the DC universe, but to me, those things kind of, after reading it, I was like, man, Lex Luthor and Superman kind of seem childish in comparison, because it's like like everything that the infidel has been through, from him through slavery all the way up into him being this dimensional villain with like all of these different intelligences. And it it was insane. It was insane to read. The Samaritan is, he's like Superman turned up to 1,000 with like with his virtues and the way that he sees the world and how righteous he is.
nice.
And yeah, Kurt Busiek is an amazing writer.
Yeah, so he's really, I think, renowned for his world building.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I aspire to be. Like between reading Kurt Busiek, The Eagle and the Mountain, Astro City, Mark Wade, and Irredeemable, man, the list goes the list goes on. The list goes on.
Absolutely. So for the viewers out there meeting you for the first time, who is Nathan Rouse and the comics world, and how did you get started writing and creating comics?
Oh man, a small time kid from Hyattsville, Maryland. Played ball at Northwestern High School. After Northwestern, I wound up going to Bethany College, small D3 in West Virginia to play ball. Like I said, I've only been in comic books for 2 years. Before creating Jupiter Man, I created a superhero named Defiance. It was about an African American astronaut that went out into space to save his world, and then his soul winds up mixing with the essence of a star.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and then he goes on like this Silver Surfer type journey to save his world and the universe. And I wind up selling that character to a French comic book agency. Um, the dude's name was Theory Lancelot. I wind up
Hmm.
selling it to them, and then he like changes the entire character, so you're not gonna find Defiance anywhere. He changed everything about it, and turned into something completely different for his universe. No hard feelings there, but I recreated Jupiter Man after watching Justice League Unlimited, and then I watched Shazam and Superman take on Black Adam in a
Oh,
movie.
there you go.
Yep. And then, funny enough, my dad called me one day, and we were like talking a little bit about our family. It was like, you have some Native American in your family, and I was like, okay, Dad, cool, uh, cool. And then I was like, huh, it would be cool to mix those things together. Like, I
Hmm.
really love Black Adam as far as a villain, and I'm just so fascinated with Native American culture. So I was like, what if I mix these together and made this cool character? And it was a summer. It was a summer in college, and I was on campus, training for the football season. And then I was like, the sun dog, Jupiter, man. And then my mind just started rolling from there. My mind just started rolling from there, and I tried to sell that idea. I tried to sell Jupiter Man because I was low on cash. And then I met this other guy that was like, instead of selling Jupiter Man, why don't you let me help you create a comic book for him? Somebody could make a bunch of money off of your idea, and then you might not make anything other than $1,000 that you're trying to sell it for. So I wind up creating like this, I don't even know, like this 10-page manuscript of, his full arc. And I give it to the guy, he gives it to another writer, and then he only uses what could have been 5% of that and started injecting his own character and everything that he wanted to put into it. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really vibing with this. So I think I'm gonna go my own way. I'm gonna try and do it myself and, figure it out. And at that point, I didn't know anything about comic book scripts. Like I've been writing my entire life, short stories, poetry. I've been doing that offhand, something for a hobby. But I learned how to write scripts. I figured out the whole putting, how to put the book together, how to talk to artists. And then I wind up, the original artist that I had for the book, and wind up falling through. And then I found the guy that I work with now, Jeffrey Slides and Tizon, the amazing guy that I found. And then, hey, we've been rolling ever since. He creates awesome stuff.
Excellent. I love hearing how people get connected with different collaborators. And you've touched on my next question a little bit, but can you reference some of the comics or stories? It can be prose too, but that has made you think, I want to do this. This story is making me want to actually pursue this at some point.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I read like most of the line of Astro City. I've read the Dark City stuff, all of it. And I love deconstructions, and I'm about to talk about Mark Waid's Irredeemable. I'm about to talk about that in a second. But to read the different ways that writers do reconstructions of heroism and their love letters to it's a fascinating thing. Like we all love those, end of the world scenarios, and superheroes got to band together to save it, all of the things that they have to do that might be in moral gray areas.
Right.
But those reconstructions of what it means to be a hero and how we view heroism, they always fascinate me, because you can always find the gray areas in that, and then you can build the different the different ways that we view it, and that's how you do the world building. Like everybody has an opinion on what's right and what's wrong, and Kurt Busiek plays with that amazingly. So I'm reading that, and then also reading Irredeemable by Mark Waid and what they did at Boom Studios, and I was like, man, the way you deconstructed heroism through this one character, and then the ending of that book and how he ends up being who he ends up being, I'm like, oh, that was beautiful. Like that was icing on the cake. But yeah, it's to effortlessly play with that. Let's reconstruct what people think heroism should be, and then through the mind of the hero, how do you become a villain? And I was recently reading or listening to this audiobook called The Lucifer Effect, which is basically how a good person becomes a bad person. And then it shot me right back to Irredeemable. And it's like the pressures of being a hero is what basically had him crumble, because all he wanted was to be loved. Honestly, he wanted the earth to be thankful and almost praise him for the fact that he's saving it every single day. But it was never enough for us. And that's why he felt like he had to become this villain. So yeah, that stuff is what drives me to create, and that's what I strive to,
Man, you pitched it to me. Now I want to go read it, because I haven't read yet. So now I got to go check it out.
Yeah, Irredeemable is awesome.
All right. Well, now we actually get to dive into some of your creations in the Idolverse.
Okay.
Where did that idea originate? Where did that kind of concept come from? Where did you come from with that?
Okay. So the Idolverse is, what if everybody is right?
There's Jupiter Man, like you mentioned.
This is the Jupiter Man. So the universe that Jupiter Man is based in is the Idolverse, and the Idolverse was I honestly I didn't know that I was going to put the Idolverse together. Um, I was talking to my brother E. He has a character in our universe called Amorai, the Scarlet Protector, and at first Jupiter Man, it was just going to be a basic story. It was going to be a story about a Native American man that was gifted powers by 3 Roman gods, to be the superhero and protect the world against an alien threat with like the opposite 3 powers. And
Right.
then my brother Elijah, he read the comic book, and then he was like, I don't know, it kind of seems like I read it before, and I don't really know if everybody is going to, everybody might not like the story just because of how basic it's coming off. And I was like, I don't want nobody to call it basic. I might have to come up with something else.
Fair.
And then that's when we started thinking. That's why I started expanding. It's like, well, what do I want the story to mean? What do I want it to mean in this universe where I want to start creating more characters? And that's when I came up with the Idolverse. What if everybody is right? I love my mind is so expansive. So I love conspiracy theory, sci-fi, romance. I love thrillers. I love religion. I love a philosophy. What if I put all that into like a sandbox to play with? And that's what the
Mm-hmm.
Idolverse became. What if everybody is right? What if every religion interworks and interlocks? What if every god is in it? What if every theory is in it? And what if I can just play with that throughout the stories? Nobody knows what's going to show up. It's just all going to be coherent and interconnected throughout the universe. So that's where Jupiter Man comes into play. Instead of him being a Native American man that is gifted, and this is all after the first 2 books came out. So I'm telling you that
Gotcha.
after reading the first 2 books, I was like, I'm switching up the story completely. Instead of it being about a Native American man that is gifted the powers from 3 Roman gods to be Earth's protector, what if he's manipulated by the government to make him believe that he's a Native American man gifted
Ah,
the 3 powers of Roman gods? So I was like, so that's what we started going with. I changed up the writing in the stories a little bit, and then I started writing out. So me personally, my writing process, I don't storyboard. I just write. I just go for it. I read everything that happens previously, and then I just build from there. And I'm like, okay, so there's this thing called Shevkov's gun, if I'm saying it correctly, where
mm-hmm.
it's like you take all the previous details that you have in other books and you just build from those details with whatever outlandish ideas or whatever else that you want to add to the story. So everything is coherent and nothing comes off as random. And
Got
that's
it.
just what I've been doing. That's how I write, and I use all of the information or all of the ways that I see different storytelling through movies and TV shows, and then I just continue to build out the storyline from there. Alan Moore said, "Read horrible books." Read horrible books, because if you can read a horrible book and say, "Hey, I can write that," then you're in the right place.
That's right.
So yeah, that's basically how I build off.
And anytime the great Alan Moore is quoted, I'm always in. So for your writing process, how do you balance kind of like Jupiter Man, kind of the big world concepts versus kind of that personal, relatable, character driven plot?
Well, my thought process, always give the reader something to care about.
Yep.
So I want you to understand who he is as a man. Like that's why when you look at Jupiter Man now, he doesn't have all the regalia on. Like there aren't any feathers. He's not a shaman. He's a man that's lost. He doesn't understand or really understand the concept of himself. He believes that he does. He believes I'm this spirit walker. 3 Roman gods gave me powers, and I'm this godly being that's supposed to protect the world. But
Hmm.
truth of the matter is, he's lost. He doesn't know his mom. He hasn't seen his dad. Uh, there are pieces of his memory that are gone, and he's just using what he's been given. The first episode, you're seeing a complete simulation that has been embedded in his mind since he was a child. Like he doesn't understand that. And I feel like we all in our own lives are lost. Like we're still
Yeah.
trying to understand ourselves. We're still trying to know who we are as men, as women, as people. That's the human experience. to experience. And I feel like throughout this story, you go on that journey with him. Like he starts off as this person that thinks he knows himself, and he slowly figures out you don't know as much as you think you do.
Yeah.
And it all starts to crumble and crack, and he has to pick up the pieces and find himself again. And I think that's a story a lot of people can get behind.
Absolutely, and that actually goes right into my next question pretty naturally. What do you feel like are the key themes or kind of emotional ties that anchor the story for readers, like you mentioned?
Growth, loss, love, understanding, empathy, um, spirituality,
Hmm.
awakening, true awakening. Like the Native American points that I want to reach in this is how you truly connect to the land, how you truly connect to your inner being, especially when you're, especially when you're lost and you don't really understand who you are. It's like how can you look to the stars and maybe grasp a sense of self.
Yes, 100%. So now we actually kind of delve into more of your creative process, like you mentioned a little bit. What does your scripting or your process look like from like actual concept to like printed book in your hand? How long of a time period is that? Do you work on it every day? Do you work on it like in chunks, or how does that work with you?
Typically, crazy enough, I can write a script in one day.
Wow.
I usually, yeah, it took a while. It took a while to get to that. Once I understand the formatting of doing it, I studied a lot of different methods, and I came up with my own and came up with a method that works for me. I studied Marvel method. I looked at a lot of Alan Moore stuff.
Hmm.
I looked at Kurt Busiek stuff. I looked at Mark Waid stuff, and I kind of mixed a lot of those different things together. Also, with my experience in writing, short stories, I came up with a process that I feel works. Like I want the artist, any artist that I work with, I want you to have a little bit of imagination, and I also don't want you to feel like it's boring to work with me. Like I want you to read my scripts like you're kind of reading a story. So you can
Hmm.
kind of, because at the end of the day, so here is my full process. I write the first draft of my script. Then I'll send it off to people, to read the first draft, see what they think as far as the dialogue, as far as what they feel when they read the story. They send their thoughts back to me. Then I wind up writing the final draft. I send it off to my artist. And I have been blessed. All the artists that I work with have amazing imaginations, and they'll add panels, they'll take panels away, they'll add expressions that I wasn't thinking of, and I just let them fly free with that, because I will always go back and change the dialogue or change the panel layout based off what the artist is doing if you're doing
Right,
an
right.
awesome thing. And then they send me back what they've done, and then I'll go back to the script, and then I'll edit it based off expressions or dialogue, and then I'll send it back for final color and lettering, and then we'll keep moving forward that way.
Perfect. And that actually basically answered my next question. So I'm going to change it slightly. How do you feel like, or what are the challenges and difficulties of collaborating with creators almost exclusively through the internet? Is that how do you feel like that's a challenge?
uh you never truly know the person that you're working with.
Hmm.
um I wish there are a lot of art. I mostly work with artists. Like it's hard for me to work with other creators, and I'll tell you why. But I usually just work with artists because they're down to work. Like they're down to work. There's not too much talking. I'm not the type of person that likes wasting time. Like I love to joke and have fun when it comes to the work. Um, but when it comes to artists, like you set your budget. Hey man, I really need your help. I'm trying to put this idea together, and they're like, okay, let's do it, let's work. And then I send them the stuff, and then we're just moving. The money's coming, and then the work is coming. And but I really wish that I could just be in a room with an artist.
Absolutely. I've
Like there's
always heard
Yeah,
about that experience is unlike any other, just like that natural organic brainstorming.
like I can only imagine what it felt like when Stan and Jack were in that same room,
Uh-huh.
passing pages back. Like, man, I feel like I'll get there one day, wherein it's just me and an artist, because my brother's an artist, and we're not in the same state right now. But I feel there'll be that day when we can just sit in a room for hours, and it's like, bro, I'm thinking, what if we can do this and the world expands like that? And he's like, and he's drawing it up, and he's like, what if we do it like this? And then like that flow, I know that flow is going to happen one day. But yeah, to be in a room with an artist is probably the only gripe that I have about working online. When it comes to other creatives, the not knowing who you're working with really extends to that because, you know, when I was in college, when I was new to it, I thought I was going to get into this comic book game, and it was just going to be a vibrant like splash of colors. Like no matter who you went to or who you talked to, everybody was trying to create like dope, dude. Let's do these awesome pinups, and what if we did this cool like collab 3-page short? And like it was such a broad, wide spectrum camaraderie.
Yes.
And what I found out over time is that it's kind of less than that. It's a little bit more business and clicked up than what I would like. And me, I've never really been a part of a group like ever. I've always been the odd man out.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought comic books was going to be the one place where there aren't really a lot of odd men out, but I'm starting to figure out there kind of is, and a lot of people want to get support for their projects and promote their stuff, which I don't have a problem with at all. I mean, at the end of the day, some people are in it to make money, even though they enjoy the medium of comics. And me, I like I want to make money, but I'm not in it for that. I'm really not. If I'm an 80-year-old man and I like have 100 books that I've written in my attic, I'll take that. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'll take that. But yeah, it's kind of hard from the creator side because like not everybody is on the same skill level as far as being a writer or an artist. Some
Yes.
people are just paying to get their character put out there, and they have to commission a bunch of people. You might have writers that might bash heads. It's a rougher process when you're just working with another creator as opposed to commissioning out for artists.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
In this series in particular, Jupiter Man, it seems to engage with identity and performance as some of the main themes. How do you, as a writer, weave those ideas into the narrative without being either like too wordy or too dialogue heavy?
That's crazy. I really love me. One of my, I guess, as a writer, I don't know. It depends on what writer you might walk up to, but I feel like I'm a big introspective guy. So
Mhm.
when we talk about, and I'm a very existential. So when we talk about dialogue, or when we talk about writing in terms of characters and situations, I kind of want to know what they're thinking. Like I want to know what they're experiencing. So you might not see a lot of captions in my books unless it comes to like what place and time we're at, or the location, or maybe even what a character is thinking. But I kind of want there to be quite a few dialogue bubbles, not like overly speed. Like I've read a lot of books that are overwritten.
Oh yeah,
I've read a
there
lot
are
of
a lot of
books.
those.
Yeah, where the characters are like overstating themselves, or there are redundancies, and I pride myself in there not being a lot of that in my books. Like if my characters say something, it's something that's meaningful, especially within the dialogue. But I always set it up to where you understand where the character is coming from. So I don't think I would say that there's too much dialogue in my books. I would say that everything is situational, depending on monologue, depending on dialogue, depending on the time and what they're experiencing. There might be a time where they're down on their knees pleading, and it's like, man, life is over, I don't know what's
Mhm.
going on. Or there might be times where they're being triumphant, and they're trying to vanquish evil, and it's like, you won't stop me, and it's inspirational. It all just depends on the situation.
Totally. And then our next question is a good general question that I like to ask everyone, and it's really cool to hear the different responses. But how do you handle like a creative setback, either writer's block, a collaborator falls through, like you said, you pitch something to another creator or like a publisher and it doesn't go well? How do you kind of handle and process those?
I'm going to answer the last question first,
Sure.
because public. I've tried to get Jupiter Man published in a couple of different. Um, I've submitted a couple of different things to like Boom. I submitted to Boom, Image, and a couple of other different companies. And it's like, I don't know. It's gotten to a point for me that the more mainstream stuff, save Image, because Image, I would say, is probably the best comic book company out. personally. If we're talking straight comic books, they got comic books across the spectrum. But I don't know, the more mainstream stuff that I read, especially from Marvel and DC, the more I'm like, yeah, never. Like even if they were to offer me, you know, not to say I'm this big name guy, but even if they were to offer me, it's just like it's not the same as building your own. It's just not the same. Like
Absolutely.
the more money that I put together, the more of my books I'm going to put out, you know, with our branding, you know, our love for it. And if I can get any more people that want to be a part and, you know, want to put their books to it, then I would love that too. But it's just not the same mainstream, because it's so, you know, manufactured now. Like you feel like the love for
Corporatized.
comics, yeah, you feel like the love for comics is kind of gone. Like they're switching into a certain level, a certain medium. I The manga age, I would call it. They're trying to appease a certain audience now and bring in, you know, a certain audience because they feel like the love for, you know, modern Western comics is fading. And I don't believe that. I go back to 90s comics all the time just because of the small imperfections of everything that's in it. I love that.
Absolutely.
But okay, dealing with that, that's how I would, you know, deal with that. Dealing with writer's block. I don't have a lot of writer's block. I would say there might be times where I'm burnt out and don't feel like writing, but it's not necessarily because I don't have any ideas. It's just because, man, I've written script. I write scripts every day. Like I have tons of projects. But in terms of inspiration, there's inspiration everywhere, I feel. Like if you're scrolling on your phone all day, every day, if you're doom scrolling, there's tons of inspiration on Instagram, on
Oh, so
TikTok.
much.
People are debating about this, and people don't like how this superhero is being written. And there's tons of inspiration all over the place to write something. It's more or less like, I don't know, stilling myself and understanding that just because I've written a script is not, that doesn't mean I'll be able to produce it today or tomorrow. So so I have to relax and understand that, okay, maybe I can start this idea some other time. You know, so it's in terms of writer's block, I don't really experience that much. It's just more or less understanding that there can be burnout from writing too much. As
Of
far as
course.
dealing with, you know, an artist fallout, I haven't had too many artists, you know, fall out on me. I've had one. A lot of the artists that I work with are, you know, they're overseas artists and they love what they do and they're heavily talented and they want to do work, you know, job after job, and they want to, you know, get it done. And I'm actually forming some really good, you know, good rapport and connections with them.
Excellent.
And I love working with them. I really do. Like Jeff, me and Jeff, I consider him to be, I consider him to be my brother. Like I really do. He does amazing stuff. I love every time I get to put our names on a book. And to know that he's the sole guy doing all the art and, you know, the lettering and everything for it, he enjoys it and I enjoy it. So we do good stuff together. So as far as artists falling out, there are times where I have to switch art style, but that's never based on me not liking an artist, or, you know, it's just like, man, like you did these 5 pages, but somebody also did these 5 pages and they did some great stuff. And it's like, man, I hate to switch up, but I'm gonna have something else for you. And then I always go back. Like I have a list of sequential artists that I work with.
There you go.
And I kind of consider myself like an overseas full-on professional publisher, low key, because of all the artists that I work with and all the artists that I go back to, like Clove Rodriguez, Jeffrey Tizon. I've worked with Gilbert Masanto, and the list goes on, and they're all awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much how I deal with that.
And then more of a kind of a back end question. When you get you're done the finished draft and you get like a printed product, or like the first, advanced copy, do you still find yourself trying to nitpick, or do you like, wow, I'm pretty proud of what this is?
Man, if I tell you how many times I've changed the covers and branding for our books, I've done it so many times, because before doing it, I did like some basic, like it was like a black border, because I didn't know what I wanted the Idolverse to be at first, until I was watching cartoons one day and I was like, man, cartoons just don't hit the same like they used to. Like me, I grew up on Brave Star. I grew up on He-Man.
Yes.
I grew up on Ben 10, Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, all of that, and I was like, why are cartoons this day and age? They just don't hit the same when I was growing up. I don't know what the kids are watching, but it's just not the same. And then I was like, wow, what if we became Idolverse, your Saturday morning cartoon? And then it literally light bulbs just started shining. I was like, man, I got to change all the branding up. Our names got to look like static. I got to turn the IDV logo into a television screen. And then all the covers from now on, all the covers are going to have like kind of like a digital screen like border with their names, and they're going to look like Saturday morning cutscenes. Like, the cutscenes when it's like, we'll be back with more. Like, I was like, yeah, I got it. And then that's where covers like these came from. And I'm more than happy with these covers now. And the covers that we have coming for Jupiter Man episode 3 and 4. 4 is out too. Yeah, they're going to be awesome.
I'm excited for that. So now we going to delve a little bit into kind of your fan connection and future projects.
Okay.
Have you received any, feedback from readers or fans in general that's kind of either taking you by surprise or kind of memorable?
100%. Well, not I won't say organically, because I think we're still wildly unknown. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, I've helped a lot of people. I wrote a 250-page graphic novel called they're calling it Henosis Authority, but we came up with the Calamity event, and a bunch of creators are coming together to do that. And that's 250-page graphic novel. I don't know if you've had Raphael Madrigal on here yet, but he has this line called Atreidian Justice and the Justice Knights, and I wrote issue 3 through 8 for him. So I've helped some indie creators, for a time, but I still think as the Idolverse we're widely unknown. So I've had to, I've given out PDFs of the book for free, for people to check them out and to read them and see if they like them. And I've got good reviews, and I'm still giving free PDFs out. So all anybody has to do is DM me. They can check out the books for free, and I don't have any problem with it because we're working on the third one now. So
excellent. I'll make sure to put that in the description of the video, by the way.
Oh yeah.
So going forward, do you see Idolverse expanding into other media, animation, music, games?
Man, if I got a Saturday morning cartoon of our characters, that would be amazing. That's the goal. That is the end all be all objective, that people love this enough that we become an animated Saturday morning cartoon like I grew up with, and I'll accept that. I don't need live action. I don't need big. Hey, Amazon Prime, hit me up. Let's make a Jupiter Man animated TV series, and I'll accept that. That would be probably the biggest I would want to go. A dream of mine has always been to have my own creative animation, like a creative studio filled with different writers, artists, animators, and we're just pumping out creative stuff for the masses. That's a big dream of mine.
It feels like, honestly, that's where kind of the greater entertainment industry is going, is that these huge studios, which have been monopolized it for so long, smaller studios are going to be able to create content and put it out on the same channels that the big companies are.
Right.
I think that'll be a really cool barrier to see kind of break down, hopefully, in the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. If I could be a part of it in any way, that would also be amazing. To be a screenwriter for an animated TV series that I created would be awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much the objective. I would say that's the objective.
And you touched on it briefly, but and then at least what you can talk about, what are the plans for Idolverse the rest of 2026, or even other projects you got going on?
Well, we got a lot of stuff. So this is where I remember what I wanted to tell you. So we have this thing in the Idolverse, and let me see if I can get this on screen. But I don't know how far you read into the second episode, but at the end, there's a 3-page short called The Brothers-in-Law. Let me see if I can get this on here. And it's basically me. Oh, let me see if I can back this up. Is it? I might have to. Hold on. Let me see something.
You may have to take your background out.
Yeah, let me take my background out. And then, so it is let me see, let me get out of here real quick.
There
Yeah,
we go.
let's do that. So there's a 3-page short at the end of the second episode called The Brothers-in-Law, and that is between me and my brother's character, Amorai, the Scarlet Protector. Braden and
Nice.
yeah. So, but my friends are in the book, and they're in the book as character spotlight. So what we do with the Idolverse is you can create a character, whether you want to be a superhero, supervillain, or bystander. You can be in the Idolverse and in a story. And actually, one of my buddies that I played with, named over here, actually named Jordan Aldridge, he's like a big proponent of the book called Homestead because he wanted a Homelander like character. And I was like, oh man, I'll put you in the book.
Yeah.
So I got his likeness. I got his likeness. We workshopped what he wanted the character to look like a little bit. And then we created Homestead and I put him in the book. And then him and Jupiter Man are going on this crazy adventure. Him and Jupiter Man are going on this crazy adventure, taking out terrorists and, doing their thing. And I want to do that for all my fans, for everybody that loves the Idolverse. I want this to be a comic book universe filled with fans. Like that's the big dream. Like what there's this comic book that was out in the 90s, I want to say late 80s, called Dial H for Hero. And you could create your own superhero and then you could send it off to Marvel and then they would put that superhero in the book.
Got it.
Yeah, and what I wanted, and I didn't even know about that before coming up with this concept, but I was like, it would be so awesome because I read this is where the idea came from. I had read some comic book one day and then they were like, do you want to be in the book? And I was like, huh.
Well, yes.
What if right? And I was like, what if I created a universe filled with fans? Like everybody could see themselves in a superhero or whatever character that's placed in the book. Imagine watching an animated series where you're the guy lifting up a car. That would be amazing. You'd be invested in that. And on top of that, I was like, what made Superman and Batman such long-standing pinnacles of heroism? The fact that they've had longevity. So what's the only other way that somebody would invest in a superhero? They would invest in themselves.
Absolutely.
And I was like, yeah. So what if I did that? What if I made it so somebody could just hit me up and be like, hey man, I want to be in the book as a supervillain? And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So let's talk it up. Send me your likeness and I'll create the character. So what I do is I did it for another guy named Demario Hill, who also has a book coming out for the character that I made called Osmo.
Nice.
So he wanted to have like a vigilante type character. He paid me. We workshopped it up. Then I send him an IDV file filled with the backstory, the powers, and he has that in his office somewhere hung up.
Oh, cool.
And I do that for everybody that wants to be a part of the Idolverse. And I did that for another guy. His character's name is Cassius. He has like an energy sword, and it's kind of like a Blue Marvel type. And it's like, yeah. So there's a couple of people that, and funny enough, wow, I keep remember the book that I'm coming out with now called Aegis the Immortal Sister is my girlfriend. My girlfriend is a character in the Idolverse.
Cool.
So yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a comic book universe filled with people that want to be superheroes or supervillains or whoever, and I'm trying to build awesome stories around it.
I love that because I feel like it gives people a sense of like they're contributing to the story,
right?
And they have some kind of a sense of autonomy, like, oh, I'm part of this greater narrative,
right?
So our closing section, where can people find you and Idolverse online?
Well, you can follow me at Mr. Unchained Unlimited and the Idolverse on either Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok.
Excellent. And then we kind of touched on this before we got on, actually, but convention appearances. Do you have any plans to attend anything, even not even if you're not tabling, but just to go, just to be there?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I'm going to Pi that March 15th. They're having it at the Heinz Center Museum. To just chill with a couple of independent creators, talk to them about their projects, check and see how people table because that's something I'm still studying and trying to learn.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Comic-Con I want to check out just because a lot of cool people are going to be there. Ron Perlman's going to be there. Charlie Sheen's going to be there.
Nice.
So I kind of want to. I grew up on Two and a Half Men, so that would be really cool to chill with Charlie Sheen and talk to him. And yeah, any Comic-Con that's around I would want to check out. It's really all about timing with me and work
Yes.
and all types of other stuff. But I would really love to check out any Comic-Con and study and learn and meet other independent creators, because there's a lot of people on Facebook that I interact with. But it'd be cool to see them at a con or two.
That's right. And our last question to close us out, it's kind of an oddball one, but I ask everybody, what is your favorite snack or meal as a go-to when you need to sit down and work on a project for a couple hours?
I am a cereal guy.
Yes.
I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Me too.
I love Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and that is like one of my favorite go-to cereals. If not Cinnamon Toast Crunch, then I don't know, maybe Cookie Crisps or Reese's Puffs, something like that. But that's the Saturday morning feel. Crack open a box of cereal and then get the
Absolutely.
writing.
That sounds like now you got to try to do a collaboration with a cereal company and get the artwork on there.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for coming on Comics for All. It's been a great conversation. I definitely would like
Man,
to
this
have you on
was
the
great.
channel again for sure.
Oh, for sure, definitely. And I gotta send you, since you read episode 1 and 2, I gotta send you sneak peeks for 3.
Yes. I actually need to finish number 2. I only got about halfway through number 2.
Okay.
But looking forward to it. Again, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody out there, we've had at least 1 or 2 people in the audience the entire time. So thank you for everybody who's tuned in. This has been the Ink and Insight segment on Comics for All, where comics, creativity, and community all connect. And we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Peace.